Okay, just doing a quick sound check. How's it sound? Getting stuff set up now, so probably gonna do a little bit more looking into the SKR, or excuse me, MKS. As I find out where I put it. There we go. Stuff out of the way. Before everything starts. Yeah, it's free music. I'm terrified to rent something and then all of a sudden forget to pay a bill and then get a bill for $8,000 in patent infringement. about copyrights is somebody's actually playing the copyrighted music to my aunt on YouTube, and apparently there's nothing I can do about it because I don't hold the copyright. But if you Google, what is it, Sadie Kaninsky, you'll see her music all over YouTube. He's also known as Eli Green, for those that don't know. And I gotta fix the date. Oh well, I'll skip that for now. Maybe I got enough time to do it. Maybe not. Oh well. I'll just start in a second. Hey everybody. Today we're going to talk some more about the SKR. I just have to dig out the stepper drivers for it. So there might be an issue that some people are seeing with the Z stepper. Of course, I pulled out the wrong box, so give me a second more. Let's see, this is the right one. So the TMC 2209s seem to be having issues. So we're going to test the Z axis and see how it's working with just the vanilla configuration. And I'll check on the chat before I get going here, because I know there's other questions. Let's see, we do not hear you well with the music. Oh, the music should have stopped, hopefully. Let me check and see if the voice meter is still going. No, it's good at the moment. There might be an 8-second delay between me talking and you hearing me. Yeah, what is it? Bonsoir, ça va? Or Guten Abend, and let's see, Prebet Kaktila. Sorry, I'm gonna stop doing the language thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is actually set up, yeah, German. I'm gonna set up this one right here on the Z axis. So I'm just gonna pop this off if I have enough fingernails and plug it in here. And then I'm going to double check the driver. Actually, it's not the right stepper, it's the one for the BTT. So let me grab the other one. I know I have it hidden around here someplace. 2 seconds. Just don't know where I put it. Okay, it's probably in the package because I put it away. Well, it's not that. Let's see, these are the TMC 2208s. I know I have them. I just don't know where I put them. We could probably get away with it, but I'd rather do it the right way. So I've got to search for them here. Wow, that's amazing. I know they're around here someplace. So let me see if I can dig them out. Yeah, if you saw my desk, you'd be horrified at the number of things that are on it. Well, I guess we're going to use the Big Tree Tech ones for the moment until I can find the other ones. So, essentially, this is the same stepper. It's got pins underneath. If you use it like so, I know this is not going to be exactly the same until I find it. What we're going to do is actually set up the power for it real quick. Hopefully we won't see any smoke. But I think I've done this before, it just doesn't work well. Let me find the screwdriver. Okay, let me just peek around the desk a little bit more. Amazing. I really got to get another storage shelf. So we're going to plug it in and program to it. So let me set the view so you can see what I'm about to do. Actually, let's go over to the browser first. It's set to the SKR, or excuse me, to Big Tree Tech. But we'll change that in 2 seconds. So we'll go over to here and search on GitHub, MakerBase, TMC, or excuse me, SKR or MKS. Sorry, I get all my boards confused. MKS Gen L v2. And we'll go directly to it. And we'll check on, let's see, they have a wiki, so it's slightly different. So we're going to look for this version. And hopefully I can dig out the actual version that you guys are working with. Apparently I'm not seeing it yet. I thought I had one on the desk someplace, but apparently not. Let me double check. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. I knew I had them. I don't want to fry my board by accident. So here's the stepper. Obviously I put the cooling fins on it, but I'll show you one as soon as I can get it out of the bag. There we go. So here's the stepper. I'll show you an image of what I'm doing. So I found the steppers. So this one is a V2. So I'm going to put this one in with the cooling fins on the Z-axis. And then I'm going to plug it in with this. And hopefully I'm on the Z, because I can't see on the other side of the board, but it looks like I'm in the neighborhood. I think they have dual Z's. But let's go back over to the browser for a second and see what we got here. So for UART mode, we're going to set these two right here. That's where the jumper is. And then we're going to also have to set up debugging, and then they have a bunch of steps here on how they should do it. I'm going to avoid the EEPROM settings at the moment because I think that might cause issues. They want you to set it to 16 microsteps, the current of 800, And we're going to avoid these because these have to do a spread cycle. We're not going to be using that at the moment. So let's go back and take a look, and I'll peek into the chat and see what's going on in a second. I just want to get the camera back to where you can see what I'm doing. Let's see what we got going on in the chat before I do that. Okay, Z1, cool. So we got everything set up. Let me just move some of these bags out of the way because I kind of got a little freaked out with looking for equipment. And we're going to power it back up and see if we can see it. So I'm going to go over to the desktop for a second. And on the computer, that is. And we're going to see if we see the drive, which we do. So we're going to go over to VS Code. And we're going to go and we're going to open the folder for downloads. If you haven't noticed, I'm working on a bunch of different little things, so that's why there's a lot of stuff in there. So we're going to go to Marlin, source, core, boards.h, search on MKS sGen. And the one we're looking for is right here. So we're going to copy that. And by the way, we figured out what the issue was with the SD card disappearing. It was SD support has to be commented out, and then it works normal with the example file that we had. So I'm going to minimize core source, go to configuration.h, search on motherboard, paste it over the ramps, change the port to -1, and then we're going to search on the A4988, and we're going to find the Z stepper, and we're going to remove the comment, and then we're going to find the stepper, which is TMC 2209, and we're going to paste it right there. Now there's some other issues. It's not going to move like normal because it thinks it's a threaded rod. So I'm going to mess around with this by changing this to 80 just to see what happens. I've never done this before. So the Z is going to be this for this. And hopefully it'll work at the same speed. So we need to go over to configuration.h for advanced. And we're going to search on 800. And we're going to look for the Z axis for Z, which is down here. We're going to leave everything as default for the moment. And then we're also going to set up sensorless homing, or actually we'll run without, well, we'll run with sensorless homing. Let's see what happens. Now I might need to put a jumper on this to make it work right. I think that's something I forgot. But let me see if I've got my other board so I can check for reference. Okay, it may need a jumper. So let's start with the jumper on that. So these are the jumpers over here for sensorless homing. So it's probably going to be, well, let's check the manual because, you know, that would be smart. So inside here, let's see if we can find the actual board. So we need a pinout diagram. And so we're looking over here, it says 3. So it's XYZ. So that's negative, so it's going to be the third one over. So I'll show you what I'm about to do. So I'm going to go to the third one, XYZ, and place it right there, and hopefully this will work. Otherwise, you might see smoke like a tutorial a while ago, but we'll find out. So let's go back over to VS Code. 2 seconds, I just have to get it so I can see it. And what we're going to do is we're going to search on sensorless, or we're actually going to turn on debugging first too. So TMC_debug, and find the next one. Do the same. And then we're going to go back up and do sensorless homing. And we're going to remove the comment. And then we're going to find the Z-axis is down here. So there's a bunch of different ones. So this is the one we're going to be using. So we'll remove that and we'll change it to 120. That way it's, well, 125 is normally what I use, isn't it? So we're set there. We're not going to worry about the invert direction at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll set up the build, which is an LPC 1769. If I can spell. And then we'll do a clean. And we'll do a upload build. And I'll check on the chat. Yeah, so I put the jumper on. I was worried I wasn't going to do it right. So let's see what we got here. It's probably going to tell me to do something. Okay, that's not really an error, so we're going to hit upload again and hopefully it'll work. Apparently there's something out of order in the build. And I don't have time to investigate, but if you guys like doing that stuff, it's an interesting puzzle. So while that's actually working away, let me show you what's going on with the drives. So over on the drive, we now have firmware that just built. Notice the time down here. So I'm going to go back over to the workbench for a second. 2 seconds. There we go. Disconnect the power for a moment. Reconnect the power for a moment. And then I got to find the power cord. And we'll energize the system or power it up. So we don't see any smoke. That's good. So let's go over to Pronterface. Inside Pronterface, what we're going to have to worry about is actually finding the right COM port, because it says 8 right here, but I'm not sure if that's correct. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Device Manager. And we'll double check. It's 10. So we'll click up here and we'll add a 0 and connect. So now we're connected. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to move the Z-axis 10 and it still moves slow. So at least we know not to do that. But let's try homing it. I know this is going to be like watching paint dry. I don't know if it's moving. Apparently it's not. That's awesome. Yep, there's power on there. Interesting, maybe I didn't hit the button. Or there's something else I need to configure. Let's try moving. Okay, let's disconnect, reconnect, and it doesn't like that at all. So let me pull the power and pull the power, reconnect, and I'm going to leave it unplugged and actually change those values back to, what was it, 4,000? This will only take a second. So we'll bring up VS Code Inside VS Code, we're going to search on configuration.h. So it's right over here. So I'll hit Control Z, and then I'll send it to the drive again. I don't know if this is affecting it. I've actually never messed around with doing sensorless Z homing. So this might be interesting. But we'll also check on the stepper. So I'll go back to the workbench. I'm going to power it back up. I'm going to go over to Pronterface and reconnect. And then I'm going to move the Z. Still moves slow. Awesome. So we know that. So let me think about this for a second. Let's try homing. Well, you can hear the power draw. And it's probably going to fail. Okay. Oh, you know why? Sorry, I'm not awake. So, got to disconnect the power and the USB on this one. Plug it back in. Now the firmware will load. Now I'll plug it back in. Now let's try reconnecting. And let's move 10. Wow, that's not even moving at all. Maybe I went in the wrong direction. Oh, it's really drawing on the power. I don't know if you can hear that power going up and down, so let me check to see what's going on with the M122. It says that it's okay. Very interesting. So let's try disconnecting and reconnecting again. And then I'll check on the chat because I know a bunch of people are probably saying some stuff right now. So let's plug this in. Plug this back in. Let's connect. Check the status. Try moving. Wow, it seems like I made the problem worse. Well, that was interesting. Okay, it does work. Of course, there seems to be a slight delay. But it only works on the Z button. For some reason, I can't get it to advance normally. Wow. We'll have to mess with that. Let me check on the chat. Maybe someone knows already. Let's see. Yeah, we can try activating EEPROM and seeing what happens there. So I'm going to disconnect. And let me change the view so you can see what I'm about to do. So in VS Code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to configuration.h, search on EEPROM, and we'll activate the EEPROM and see what happens. And then we'll upload that and hopefully it won't fail. I guess figuring this stuff out while it's live is a little bit of fun. There we go. Let's double check to make sure it's okay. Let's see. Yep. So let's go back over to the desktop. Pull the power it back up, let it load for a second. Plug it in. Let's go over to Marlin, or excuse me, over to Pronterface, connect. Try moving 10. Let's try moving 100. I actually think I know what the problem is with that, but let's try the home. Well, that's awesome. Sorry, I'm pulling the power for a second. I'm gonna disconnect and I'm gonna see if I can fix this problem. So if we go to VS Code, search on A4988 to get us in the neighborhood. Let's change this to 20 and then try and upload. Wondering if that's a variable. Let's try this. Just an experiment. So what's going on here? Apparently it wants me to upgrade, but I don't feel like it. So let's check on here. I'm actually going to skip this one, and it let me get away with that. Then I'm going to go back over here and reload it again. Oh, max acceleration. Oops. Let's try this again. I'm just trying to match them all because they're not the same. So let's go back over here. Delete it again. Go back, and this hopefully will make life better, or you're going to see something explode. Let me move this over. Okay, now let's go back to the desktop. Pull the power, plug it back in. And then go to Pronterface and see how bad this gets. So connect. Wow, there's something about Z I don't understand. That's awesome. It's very sensitive. It might think that it's already homed. So let's see what we've got here in the chat, and then I'm going to possibly cheat and do something else. Try moving Z while pressing X. I would, but X isn't going to go anywhere. Oh, you mean hit them both at the same time? Well, that's not working. But we can find out what the command is real quick. Put on debug communications. That's the home for right there. So if we type G28Z or X0Z0, we might be able to get away with it that way. It seems a little confused. Oh, press -Z. Yeah, I think my original settings might work better. So let's power down the system. Getting kind of stuck in a loop here, but we'll find out why. I might have to put it in a printer to see what's going on. But let's go to here. Take out these changes. Leave it like that and try and load it and see what happens. I gotta disconnect over here probably. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, sorry. So basically I made the changes back to what they were and left this at 20. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's go over to the workbench. Pull the cord. Let it flash. Then we'll plug it in. And let's try it again. Wow, we can't see anything move. Let's try home. That's amazing. So I'm gonna power it down and let's try the board logic. Maybe I've got it backwards. Actually, let's go to the wiki. But I can hear the power supply straining on this. Yeah, somebody else is trying it, I guess, in the chat. So let me turn off, well, let me see if you can see what I'm seeing. Okay. So let's go over to the browser. That is almost no help for me. So the wiki. I thought there was a T. There it is. So it says to set a bunch of other things. These are already done. Hybrid threshold, possibly. .3 volts. $125. Well, let's go through each one of the settings. So EEPROM is on. We've defined X driver type, in this case it's Z. So let's look for a hybrid threshold. Really don't want to enable this, but let's see what happens. So we're done there. we're gonna leave that alone, but double check ours. Okay, and then there was stuff down here. Don't think this is actually involved with anything, but let's go back and check. It's already on. That's already on. That's already on. So everything almost matches. So let's go back and see what's going on. So I'm going to actually compile it real quick. Make sure I'm not connected. Okay, hopefully that copied over. So let's check. Apparently it didn't. So I'm going to disconnect the power. Disconnect the power. Obviously I'm getting an error. Now reconnect the USB. I know you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, it should upload now because it's just USB power. Let's check on it. That's good. So I'm going to go over to the desktop and yank the cord out. Push it back in. Plug it in. We'll go over to Pronterface. And let's give it a try here. Apparently Pronterface is not doing too well. So let's kill that. Wow, good times. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So it already closed, so I don't need to kill it. So I'm going to reopen it right here. Okay. Let's try reconnecting. So we're in a funky state. I have a funny feeling something went wrong with the upload. Looks like I'm on the right COM port. So let's see if we can check that. I think it was 10. Okay, it's there. Let's try it again. So it thinks it's in use still. So I'm going to power this down. We'll check to see if we can see it. So apparently we lost the drive. So let's recover it. So I'm going to pop this out, pop the drive out. Obviously you can't see what I'm doing, so let me get you where you can. Okay, let's do this again. Plug it in. Let's see what's going on with the drive. So 634. Let's try loading again here. Actually, we're just going to grab it. Send to. There we go. Let me bring up the workbench. Double check, make sure I've got it there. And let's see what happens. There might be something that I changed that's causing it to fail. Let's give that a second, see if it loads. Then we'll go back over to the desktop. Double check. And we got no drive. So we set something that doesn't work. So let's unplug it. Pop this out. And it's a setting that we set is pretty much the working theory. Because this happened before. So I'm going to pop that back in. Look over at the drive. It tried to load the firmware, but nothing happened, so we lost connectivity. So let's go back over here and let's start removing what we did for changes. So that probably won't affect it, but let's remove it. Hybrid threshold, we just commented. So let's try actually recompiling again. I have a funny feeling it's a different setting having to do with the EEPROM. But let me look at the chat while this is going on. Okay, it looks like it built, so let's see what we got here. Reveal and explore. Send to the drive. Check the drive. Go back to the workbench. And pop in the drive. Power it up. Looks like it's flashing. Not hearing a ding on the computer yet. So let's go over and look to make sure. No drive. Whoop. I hear a drive. But I don't see a drive. So let's try F5. Nothing. Okay, that's awesome. So we're going to do a regular vanilla load. So I'm going to go back over to VS Code and hit Control Z again. I'm going to take out this. I know it has no effect on it. I'll actually leave that uncommented because we've used it before. Let's go in here and do a Control Z. I'm taking out the EEPROM for the moment. And let's do another build. I have a funny feeling EEPROM might be to blame. Okay. Let's right click, reveal and explore. I gotta grab the drive. Plug it back into the computer. Right click, send to the D drive. I don't know where the E drive is coming from. That's interesting. Okay. Apparently the other one loaded 2 minutes ago, which makes no sense. Okay. Let's go over to the desktop. Pop this back in. See if it flashes. Wait for a beep. Apparently there's no beep to be had. We might end up redoing the configuration. I have a funky feeling something weird happened. Whoop. No drive yet. So let me unplug and replug. Nothing. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go over to the desktop, go to the downloads for 2 seconds. We can't delete this at the moment, so we're gonna go over to here. We're gonna close the editor, then we'll go back over to here, delete this file, we'll extract a new one. And I'll check on the chat while that's extracting, because maybe someone else has experienced this before. Whoops. Hang on, I gotta get the browser showing up the right way here. Yeah, something about SD support seems to be good times. So we have a new one extracted. Let's go back over here, reopen it, see if we can fix it from scratch. Downloads, both Marlins, select folder. I'm going to do this rather fast. MKS _ sGen. Copy it. Minimize, minimize. Learn how to spell. Okay, that's vanilla. And clean. And then build. And I'll pop out the drive while you're watching that. Sometimes this happens, sometimes it's easy to recover. There might be several things going on. Obviously, you've seen the several things that might be going on. Let's check on the build up here. Okay, let's check to see if it's on there. That looks good. Let's go back over to the workbench. Drop this in, plug it in. Looks like it's flashing. Let's try the reset. I'm gonna start pulling things out. You're not supposed to do this while it's got USB power. but I'm wondering if something else happened. And let's check on the computer, see what we see. Still no drive. That's awesome. Normally this is easy to recover. Awesome. Guess we got a puzzle here. Just checked on the bottom of the chip. There doesn't seem to be an issue. Let's go to Device Manager. I want to see what's going on there. COM port's gone. Interesting. Let's try refresh. Nothing. Looks like I cooked a board. Looks like. But I'm pretty sure I didn't. So I'm gonna try a different technique which you guys might hate. So here's another thing I can do. I have 2 of these boards, so I'm gonna try a little trick. So here's a board that I know probably works. So I'm going to plug into it and see what happens. And then we'll check on the computer. And apparently I don't see anything. So we know that the issue might not be board centric, so I'll try another board. So I'm going to grab a random board. Okay, so I have another board I'm going to try. I'll let you see what I'm doing. So I'm going to disconnect this for a second, and I'm actually going to plug this in, because it might be computer centric in this case. Super odd. Oh, I'll wake up in a minute. I have to move to USB power on this one. So I know what the problem is. It's not the board. It's my USB cable. So let me trace the cable out. So I'm going to disconnect the cable, and I'm going to plug it into a different place. Now I'm going to check my desktop, and you'll see something happen. So I have a board. So now I'm going to disconnect, and I'm going to connect to the other board. So it wasn't a software issue in this case. The COM port has some kind of enumeration issue where it got confused with Pronterface and locked up, and now it works. So it's nothing wrong with the board. It's just the user doesn't know what they're doing. And now you've seen it. So that's a different problem that I ran into. Apparently I knocked out the USB on the computer for a couple minutes. and that's why you see me running around. So now that we got that figured out, we can hook everything back up. So let me move to where you can see what I'm doing. Let me get my cup out of the way. Power this down, double check to make sure you're in the right connection. And of course, we'll be back in the purgatory of moving the stepper. Probably should build something for the Z-axis so you can see it move one of these days. Or just put it in a printer. Okay. Power's correctly connected. Hopefully I'm connected to the right Z. Let's see, 1, 2, approximately. Oh, there is another issue I forgot. So when we're not using these steppers, so you have your first X, Y, Z1, Z2, then you have E0, E1. So we're going to go back to this one, and we're going to put jumpers on these two. Hopefully the board won't catch on fire. Then we'll plug this in. Plug this in. Probably won't make a difference. Make sure that we have a connection. And now let's go back to Pronterface. Inside Pronterface, we'll check the connection. We're online. So I'm going to plug it in. Let's see if it moves at all. So it's moved a little, but we still have issues. I turned off sensors homing, didn't I? Okay, that's another issue. So, disconnect. Disconnect. Disconnect, reconnect. Let's go back into the firmware and look around. Let's see what we got here. So let's do a clean. Go to configuration advanced. Let's see if we can redo. Apparently not. So let's search on 800. Set to 1/16th of a step. So I'm going to change the stepper driver possibly and see if that makes a difference in a minute. But let me search on TMC_debug. And it's not set because I'm using a different version because I just unzipped this. That makes more sense. That's why we can't even do a stepper. Sorry, I completely forgot. Remove that. We have to go back to configuration.h, search on A4988, find the Z axis, remove the comment, change it to the right stepper. That's good. Over here, do sensorless homing. Remove the comment. Let's see, remove the comment. 125. So it looks like I've got everything set. We're not going to mess with this at the moment. We're not going to mess with EEPROM. We're just going to upload. And I'll check on the chat. Okay. And it failed like usual, so let's do this again. I wish they'd fix the build order so I wouldn't see that every time. What's actually happening is it's built something, but it's referenced after or before. And so when it gets to that point in the build, it throws up because it can't see it. So the second time through, it's built, so it knows what to do. Essentially is what I see in the background. I can't actually see the problem directly. So let's see if you can see what I'm seeing. Let's see, desktop, D drive, it loaded. So let's go over to the regular desktop. Disconnect, reconnect. Pop in the power. No smoke, that's good. We get in the prana face here. Still not moving, that's awesome. Let's try homing. Nothing. Oh, made a mistake. Trying to figure out if it's moving too slow. Okay, it doesn't work. So let's power it down. Let's disconnect this power. Pop this off. This actually works on the other board. That's why I was thinking that. Let's take this out. Hopefully we're not going to see any smoke when I do this. It's not a smart thing to do what I'm doing about now, but I want to see what happens. Okay, let's reconnect. Okay, let's try and home. Yeah, that's real good. So let me power it down. I only changed two things. So let's put the jumper back. Move this over. Reconnect this. Reconnect the power. Disconnect, reconnect. Move it 1. Okay, 1 millimeter is kind of big right now. Let's try homing. Apparently it doesn't like to home. So we're getting closer. I think it's the values that I'm setting. Now I gotta disconnect for a second. Okay. Yeah, that's huge. So let's go in and change that. That should only move about 1 millimeter. So let's go see what that is. Configuration.h. Let's change this to 80. See if it moves correctly. We'll disconnect in prana face. We'll power it down just in case and just leave the USB in and then do an upload. And I'll check on the chat while that's going on. Yeah, sensitivity might be too high, but let's take a look real quick. Sensorless. Let's see what we got over here. That looks right. Let me plug it in, then we'll play with that in a second. Whoop, actually I can't plug it in yet. Also, you guys see what I'm doing. So first I gotta unplug this. Then I gotta plug this back in. Okay, can you hear me now? Apparently my USB hub hates me. Not sure how well I can work on this with the hub keeps dying on me. But apparently I have the microphone plugged into the same thing. And every time I change and readdress the actual device, because it re-enumerates with the same USB, it knocks out another USB. So let me power cycle the hub. Give me a second here. Now it might also be affecting the video, so give me a second to check that. Yeah, the video is all nice and fun too now. Two seconds, let me see if I can get it to work. Now my mouse is gone. Awesome. Okay, the sound's back, I think, but my computer's getting very, very angry with me. So I'm thinking it might be wise to end the stream for the moment, just because my computer's a frickin' mess. And then, well, the mouse works now, but as soon as I rerouted all my USBs, everything went south. So I'm trying to bring stuff up. Let's see if I can get it to work. So video is back online, sound's back online, but I got cords running all over the place. So let's see if we can do this. So let's go over and try and do this again. So on the, whoop, I gotta fix this too, sorry. Now you're getting to see behind the scenes. Okay, so I changed this to 400 in the USB. I'm gonna double check my device manager. You missed all my screens going out too, which was interesting. Let's make sure that we have a device. We do. Let's try doing an upload and seeing if the computer doesn't crash. There we go. Ah, not a smiley face. So let me disconnect that and see if it actually comes back to life. Let's try this again. Wow, that's awesome. So let me close and reopen this. There we go. Apparently it's trying to upload on a regular check, so let's see what happens. Okay, that looks about the right time. So let's go over and see if it's working on the desk. Disconnect. Reconnect. And for those that don't know, I spent a lot of money on my USB hub. So I'm feeling kind of foolish right now. Or maybe I just need it to cool off at the end of the night and power it down. So, now that that's working, let's go over to Pronterface and see what the issues are there. So in Pronterface, it is not responding, so let's close that. And we might be going in circles here. I'll check on the chat while that's going on. It's not actually the MKS. It's my USB hub. It's a V3 or USB 3 hub. It says Super Speed 11 port hub. I only use about 4 or 5 ports on it. But apparently I've been running it for about 3 months straight. And now it doesn't want to run anymore. So it gets a little bit expensive with hubs for me, so I'm just going to buy $10 ones from now on. Obviously, when my hub wears out, you get to see this. But I can't put the computer directly on the table or else you'll hear it. So hopefully I don't have to kill that program again. But as you can see, it's a cascade of errors that I'm having. So let's try and connect to port 10. Okay, we finally got a connection. Now let's see if something works. Let's move it by 10. And it doesn't want to move because I didn't plug it in. Okay, it's plugged back in. Let's try moving by 10. That's better. It's moving more than 10 though. Let's try homing. Yeah, this is going to be like watching paint dry. Hopefully it won't fail. But I think it'll make it eventually. Well, I guess we can commiserate while it's going. Yeah, you missed all the fun, James. Apparently I have some USB issues on my computer. And all my errors seem to go across all at once. I lost the sound, I lost the board, then I lost the mouse. But I need to get a different USB hub that's more reliable. So what we're doing right now is just seeing if it can do homing on the Z-axis. And this homing's taken an awful long time, but it's actually still moving. Which, this is like watching a turtle race. As you know, usually my live streams go better than this, but today is just one of those days. Apparently someone's asking me for help on YouTube. I don't know what they're asking for though. Let's see if we can see their comment. Oh, someone wants me to call them for tech support. Yeah. There's something called Discord, guys. I don't do personal phone calls. It's just one of those things. So, it failed. So what I need to do is disconnect, power it down again, and hopefully I won't lose my USBs again. Plugging it back in. I'm going to go over to VS Code. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Nope. Let's move it there. In VS Code, I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to try 80 again, or 200. Maybe it'll move faster. Doubt it. it's actually probably changing the actual step value. But I'm trying to link these up to be similar to this. And intuitively, 80 didn't work initially, but it caused all sorts of other things. Max feed rate. Let's try this. I know I changed this before, but I'm going to change this to 300. And change this to 800 just for hopefully cutting in half something. And then we're going to re-upload. Kind of guessing at values here. Yeah, I guess it happens to everybody. At least nothing's exploding today. I've had days where that's happened. So I'm going to go over to the desktop. Been on the desktop, sorry. I just changed the values in VS Code. Apparently, having a little bit of trouble showing everybody what I'm doing. And VS Code's not showing up either, so let's try and fix that. Let's see. Window. Apparently it changed a lot of things on my computer all at once. Nothing a reboot wouldn't fix, but okay, well, let's try and show you this way. So I changed this to 800 and this to 300. I hit upload and I power cycled it, I hope, but let's check. So if I go over here, we have a D drive. It's approximately a minute since I did it. So let's go back to the workbench and let's plug it back in. Then we'll go over to the desktop again. We'll reconnect. Looks like we're good there. Let's try moving one. So it's moving a little bit more than one, but it's moving at a normal speed. Let's try homing and hopefully it won't be a disaster. And homing doesn't normally move the right speed. Awesome. It's moving slightly faster if that makes anybody feel better. But I think it's going to fail. The duet, that's a lot of money. A better option than the SK or the MKS is probably the SKR, but I'm guessing the SKR will react the same as what I'm doing because the Z-axis is not normally run this fast. But I think it works normally. It's just I have to change the settings to set it up for a delta. Okay, the sensitivity is slightly off, so I'd have to crank it down because you can see how fast it's moving. But let me see if I can fix it with the power cycle. So part of the problem is I'm trying to match it up to the actual axi of a delta without using a config file. And I've never set up a delta, as you can tell. So I have to figure it out, but we're going to cheat and we're going to go use a actual delta configuration. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. Hopefully this will work. Otherwise, it's going to be interesting. And also, I didn't specify delta in the beginning over here. I don't know if you can see the screen I'm on. Yeah. So up in here, there's a delta configuration, I think. Let's search on it and see if I can find it. Probably going to be several things talking about delta in here. Okay, let's just cheat and grab a delta example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. I'm going to go over to my downloads. I'm going to delete this for a second. I'm then going to open up Marlin, extract all. And as you can tell, I have zero experience in a delta, so we're going to see what we can learn real quick. So I'm going to bring up the web browser. I'm going to search on Marlin fw.org. I'm going to go to downloads. I'm going to click on download. And this is where you find the examples. So I'm going to download this as a zip. And you'll see what I'm doing in a second. This may be messy. Just keep that in mind. So someone asked if I could experiment with the delta configuration on the z-axis to make sure that it's working right. So that's what I'm trying to do. I originally thought I could configure it myself real quick. Apparently it didn't work out that way. So what you're seeing now is me scrambling while my computer is trying to fail on me. And I'm trying to let my computer not fail. So here's the configuration releases. We need to extract that. So what I'm doing now is I'm cheating and I'm going and getting the actual example file. For those that don't know, I do own two deltas that I still haven't set up. One of them's built, but I've never gotten around to doing it because I like the other ones. So let's see if we can find the configs. Here are the examples. For deltas, I don't know who makes it, so maybe someone can inform me. But let's see if we can find one. I don't know if Tronxy makes one. So let's do a search on delta. So there's a delta folder someplace, or these have delta in them. Kozel, I think, is a delta. So it's just config.h. So I'm going to copy that. And you'll see what I'm doing in about 30 seconds. I'm going to go over to my downloads. I'm going to go to my Marlin, my other Marlin. I'm going to paste it right here over the other one. And in theory, this will have a delta configuration in it. So let's open it up and see what happens. Downloads, Marlin, Marlin, select folder. Let's do config.h and see what we get, which is right here. It says that it's an example for a delta Kozel. So let's search on motherboard. We got to fix that. So we've got to go first and change this. Then I got to go over to here, search on MKS _ sGen, copy it, paste it over the ramps. So we're set for the motherboard. Now there's going to be some interesting stuff. So let's search on the stepper, which is going to be A4988. Remove the comment, remove the comment, and remove the comment. We're going to change these all three to TMC 2209. And then we're going to look around and see what's going on. See how they're matched up here? So in theory, this might work. So let's go over to advanced configuration and see what's going on. So I'm going to search on 800 again. Our Z is all set, so let's turn on TMC debug _ debug. I'm going to remove the comment, and then I'm going to search for the next one. Remove the comment. I'm going to then go up and search on sensorless homing. I'm going to remove the comment on the right line. Whoops. And then we're going to set this as well. And 125. Probably should have done this earlier. The other ones we don't care about, so I'm actually going to comment them back out. So hopefully this won't turn into a mess, but we'll see. So those are commented out. We just care about the Z-axis. So I'm going to clean, and then I'm going to upload after I power down the actual unit. I'm also going to make sure I'm disconnected in pronter face.